The concept of the corkboard in Quince is meant to map to the real-life corkboard that you would use in your office. It's a location where you sort of pin items that you're going to use later. Maybe you move those items around, you sort, you group them. It's a visual tool. In Quince, the way you use the corkboard is you add elements that you can either associate with public patterns, or private secure libraries within Quince. So let's go ahead and see how this works. When you go to Quince for the first time, or if you're not signed in, there's actually nothing on your corkboard. You don't have any examples loaded. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And once I sign in, there's always, the first time you sign in, a default example, which is this Bing example. So I'm going to go ahead and click it so you get the idea of what to expect. This is the example viewer, which you're going to see throughout Quince. You've seen it when you look at images in public patterns, and you're going to see it when you look at examples in private libraries. What Quince does from a collaboration aspect is allows you and your teams to work on elements together. So for example, this Bing sample that was uploaded, folks have commented, they start highlighting areas using the note, arrow, box, and highlight tools, and this really gets to the core of what Quince offers. It is a collaborative tool which allows developer and design teams, which are either in a same physical location or span it across the world, to work on projects together. Some of the neat features here which you can do on an example. Notice we do have some notes here, and you'll notice down here we have the number 1, so there's one related pattern here. There's no attachments, and there's one comment. So I'm going to go ahead and select one related pattern, and you'll notice that the pattern area is the search results pattern. So the search results pattern is associated with this particular example. You can add more patterns. So if I click add, and I'm just going to think of, I'll do a dashboard pattern. So now I have a dashboard pattern as well as the search results pattern. And what this allows you to do is when you upload examples, you're commenting on them, you could be associating patterns with particular elements of the example so team members know where you're going or what the rationale is behind this. So if I select dashboard, of course what happens is the dashboard pattern appears with its own examples, the problem, solution, context, and rationale, all of the information about the pattern that we've talked about in other videos. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I can go back here. You also notice I can do attachments. If I want to add my own comments, I can do that as well to continue the thread. The way it works in Quince is that if you do comment, or if anyone comments on a particular thread or element on an example, you'll get notified through email that something was changed. So you can go in, click the link in your email, and actually look at it. We also notice here that when I select items, the arrow and the box are sort of linked together. So the way that works in Quince is if I add a note somewhere, so let's go ahead and add a note. I'll just say this is a note, and I'm going to grab the arrow tool, and I'm going to point to this right here. Both these elements are associated with each other. I click this one, they sort of get dimmed out. So when you are looking at particular notes and threads inside of an example, the other items are sort of grayed out, so you don't have a lot of competing elements on the screen. So across the top you do have the tools for note, arrow, box, and highlight on elements, and if I click the tools tab, I can share this with someone. So if I want to actually send this to a coworker or someone that I'm working with, maybe it's a customer, I can send them this link, or Quince can email it for me, and they can actually log in and look at it. I can also do a PDF. So if I do a PDF, I will get the example with the threaded comments. So you'll see that pops up pretty quickly. It's a nice table of contents for this particular example. There's the original example, and then each one of the callouts with its comments is highlighted in this document. So I can close this out. I have a lock, so if I have uploaded this and I'm the owner of this particular element, I can actually lock it so then others can't do things like comment, undo, delete, or actually replace the image. I'm going to go into replace a little bit later, but the idea with replace is, let's say I have a low fidelity wireframe and I want to update it with a high fidelity wireframe, I can just replace the image, or of course I can delete. So I'll close this guy out and I'm back to the corkboard. I can add additional elements to the corkboard, so let me add another example. I'll add this particular, our motion framework example dashboard, and this pops in, and I can move this guy around. There's some neat physics, so it sort of feels like you're moving something around. I can flip and rotate it. If I select it, I go right back in, and then I can start commenting. you're going to be uploading images that could be fairly large. So of course you can use the Overview plus Detail tool on the bottom to zoom in or zoom out. In this Quince video series, you'll see examples where there is a lot of action on particular elements. So the Overview plus Detail tool becomes quite important. So let me close this guy out, and now I'm back to my corkboard. A nice thing is, as you're working on a project or you're formulating ideas, you know you're going to be working on a dashboard project or something, you can always email items to your corkboard. So what I can do is send an email to corkboard at quince.me. And I'm going to go ahead and attach a dashboard example, and I hit send. So what's going to happen after a few minutes, well, that email will go out, and however fast your email system is, but eventually it does a round trip and it appears in your Quince corkboard. And you'll see that my image appeared. I'm going to move it around a bit. I can then go into this particular dashboard example which I had. I can start adding comments, annotating it. I can share it with someone that I'm working with, or I can actually share it right from the example. Whoops, let's close that out. If I select it, there's a share option right here which will allow me to share this with someone else as well. So that's how the corkboard works. The corkboard is free. It's just like the Public Patterns Library. You don't have to pay to use this feature. In other videos in this series, we're going to take a look at the private library aspect of Quince Pro, which you'll notice on the bottom I do have some private design libraries created, and that's where we can sort of tie together using our examples that we've uploaded into the corkboard into private libraries. But as a collaboration tool and as a place to store images and assets, the corkboard is a perfect place for you to get started with Quince. And if you don't like what you see on the corkboard or it gets too cluttered, you can always take something and dump it in the trash. So thanks for watching this video on the corkboard in Quince.